Mayor Amarjeet Sohi was sworn in as the 36th mayor of Edmonton on October 26, 2021. Mr. Sohi had previously sat as a member of parliament and served in the federal cabinet from 2015 to 2018 and as the Minister of Infrastructure during that time and communities, and from 2018 to 2019 as the Minister of Natural Resources. Mr. Sohi was elected to Edmonton City Council in the 2007 municipal election representing Ward 12, gaining a seat after finishing 4th place in the previous election. So good comeback there. Following the 2015 federal election, he represented Edmonton Mill Woods in the House of Commons until 2019. During that time, he served as Minister of Natural Resources from 2018 to 2019 and as Minister of Infrastructure and Communities from that 2015 to 2018. So Mayor Sohi, thank you for joining us today.
Hi, everyone.
Mayor Sohi, we've got a number of questions for you. I've got some questions that I will start this off with, but we have people in the audience. They will be coming in with their own missions for what they would like to ask you. So right off the bat, what are the primary challenges that you yourself as mayor think that the city faces?
Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's nice to see some familiar faces, some personal friends on joining in this conversation. I would say one of the biggest challenges that we are facing as a city is how we emerge economically from COVID-19. What that recovery looks like. And one of the biggest challenge to that recovery is the social challenges we're facing. Social challenges that have been, I would say, they always existed, but COVID absolutely not only put a spotlight, but also put more people into those challenges. Our houseless population doubled over the last 2 years, and our opiate crisis is absolutely heartbreaking, and it continues to increase, and we are seeing more and more people die. So there's a human cost to those challenges, but there's a real economic cost once those challenges go unaddressed for a long time, which they are at this time. That economic cost is the disorder that we are seeing in the downtown, the disorder that we're seeing in the Chinatown and other business districts. That is hurting businesses. It is hurting business recovery. It is hurting our economic, it's hurting our ability to attract more investment into our city. Because when people visit downtown, like first of all, few people are visiting downtown now. But if outsiders are coming to our downtown and they see that disorder, they see those broken windows, and they see other challenges, then they will not be as likely to invest in our city. I said that is the biggest challenge that we are facing, or both at human level, but also at economic level, that we need to tackle together. And we are trying to work hard as much as we can. But I'm losing a lot of sleep. I'm losing a lot of sleep over that, because it really ties into our economic growth opportunities and how we attract more investment in our city.
You've used the words inclusive recovery. How would you define that for our audience? What are its components?
So inclusive recovery is all about the things I talked about earlier, because there's a human cost to these challenges. And if people are unable to fully participate in the economy, in our society, not only they lose their own personal potential, but as a society, we don't benefit from their potential, which goes untapped, right? So I think when we look at inclusive recovery, inclusive growth is about building people's capacity to live up to their fullest potential. I'm a good example. Like, I came to this city with nothing. I couldn't speak the language. I had no understanding of Canadian way of life. I had very little support other than the love and generosity of my brother and my sister-in-law. And I struggled a lot in school, faced a lot of discrimination, racism. All those things could have potentially hold me back, but there was something in this community that lifted me up. That something was our great public services, access to libraries, access where I could learn English, access to school where I could learn, access to public transit, where could I go find a better job, access to recreational services and facilities where I made friends, being part of the dynamic arts and culture scene because I loved acting. I was a theater. I was involved in theater. And all those things combined together build my capacity to be part of the community. And I became a contributing member of the community. And I think that's what when I speak about inclusive growth, inclusive recovery, that's what I'm talking about. Individuals, people, ability to grow, build lives, which helps the broader community to be successful.
If you have questions for the mayor, please put it into the chat, and I'll have Samantha and Dave monitor that. And please chime in, and we'll get those questions asked. Mayor Sohi, it strikes me that the lenses that you can have on the city as a whole is a social lens on one side, there's a business lens on another side, and perhaps other things in the middle. And it strikes me that both you and Mayor Gondek in Calgary, and both of you came in at the same time, are very much on have a social lens first because you believe it will enhance the business opportunities for the city. Did I get that right, or is there more to it?
I don't think those lenses are mutually exclusive, right? Because economic growth will not be as robust if we don't apply social lens to that economic growth, right? And social issues will not be properly tackled if we don't have economic growth that pays for investing in those social programs. I think they're interconnected. I think that is the kind of thinking that we are trying to shift, that we should not be seeing them as separate issues. We should be seeing them as interconnected, intertwined issues that tackling one helps tackle the other, right? So I think that's where I would like to, that we want to focus on, because what I hear from downtown businesses is disorder. What causes that disorder is lack of housing, lack of support services for opiate crisis recovery. The drug poisoning that is killing people is also hurting businesses. I think that is the interconnectedness that I am trying to figure out, and we need to figure out to build that kind of economic prosperity.
After that is tackled, and it's never going to be tackled completely, it's going to be addressed, right? And it continues on with that. What else would you do on top of that to make Edmonton an investable city?
Yeah, so there's a number of things that we should be doing and we are doing, right? One is, my goal is to make sure that doing business in Edmonton should be easy, convenient, and affordable, right? How we make it convenient. For example, as a city, we are involved in issuing permits. We are involved in issuing business licenses, right? We are involved in regulating through zoning bylaws, right? We can do a lot of stuff to make it easy for people to do business. And we are. When I look back at some of the changes we made, we saved businesses close to $3.4 million by reducing the amount of time they had to wait to get a permit or a business license. And we need to do more. Absolutely, we need to do more. I think that's one thing. Again, on zoning bylaws, right? A lot of businesses, if they want to build a high-rise building or they want to expand their business, they need to go through rezoning. Rezoning could be a very lengthy process. Can we streamline our zoning bylaws that not everyone has to appear in front of City Hall, City Council to get the rezoning done? It could be done through a development permit, right? So I think there's a number of ways that we can assist businesses to grow and reduce that unnecessary regulatory burden that doesn't serve any purpose.
Mayor Sohi, at the end of your term, whether that be in 5 years' time or 10 years' time, whatever time period it is, what would you want to see Edmonton's brand as a city on the national stage meaning?
I want our city to be known a city that is progressive, that is forward thinking, that embraces who we are as people, our diversity, and our deep commitment to helping people, lifting people up, and the rich indigenous history that we have that actually informs who we are, because we are very humble people. I traveled uh, around the country during my time in Ottawa and had chance to mingle, meet with the business leaders and community leaders from every major urban center in Edmonton. One thing I find, through the country in Canada, I met with every leaders in every city in Canada. One thing that stands out, in Edmonton, we don't have hierarchies in society, like where business people think they're here, rest of the people are here. I think that uniqueness, that humbleness is our strength. And we haven't really marketed that humbleness to the world and to the rest of the country, right? Because we help each other out. Your competitors will help you out. I have not seen that happen anywhere else. I have seen that happen here in Edmonton. So how do we turn that into an advantage? So that's what I would like to see.
Paul Bello says Edmonton is Canada's biggest small town, so echoing that sentiment. So that's good. Brent Collingwood has a question. Brent, would you like to ask it?
Thanks, Mayor Sohi. Great to see you again. As you know, I was involved with the River Valley Alliance for many years, and I know that there's an initiative afoot to name Metro Edmonton's River Valley as an urban national park. I just wonder if you could expound a little bit on that for us in the audience.
Yeah, so the federal government came up with a plan last year to assist municipalities preserve green spaces, the biodiversity within those green spaces, and they are going to make some funding available. So my idea is that why should we not explore that partnership where we can enhance our river valley, improve the infrastructure to make it more accessible, as the work you had done in the past, building 100 kilometers of connected network of trails and bridges that really opens up a river valley for people to enjoy, and also could really be turned into a tourist attraction from not only within the region, but beyond our region. But there are things that we will never give up when it comes to River Valley. We will never give up a local control, because Edmontonians deeply love and take pride in being owners of the River Valley. We will never give that up. And there's no requirement to give it up anyways, right? Under federal programs, they have very flexible governance model. Again, also making sure that River Valley, if it does become a national urban park, remains free for everyone to enjoy, accessible for everyone to enjoy. I think the opportunity exists under this program to enhance it, to preserve it, and to market it, and to enhance its prominence at a national level if it's created, is if designated as a national urban park.
Thank you very much.
So I've got a question from Kurt Fiegel. I'll try and summarize it, Kurt. Let me ask the mayor: are there additional plans to privatize city services, more so than there is currently in place, just to get some more efficiencies?
Yeah, we should always strive for efficiencies. I think we are striving for efficiencies. When I look back our city budget over the last 5 to maybe 10 years, this administration was tasked with finding continuous improvement and efficiencies. They have done that. At the same time, there are growth pressures that require tax levy to go up, and we have tried to keep that tax levy very affordable in this budget, being the lowest tax levy increase compared to all other major urban centers, right? Are there areas that we can look at, such as, for example, golf courses and others, right? And but I also firmly believe that the importance of public services remaining public and accessible and affordable is important, because the role of the government is to provide services in areas where we cannot individually buy those services, whether it's public transit, whether it's fire service or police service, recreation centers, and all those things. So I firmly believe that we need to keep our public services public and accountable to public.
I know the topic of affordable housing is very dear to your heart. Can you tell us some of the initiatives that you are planning to make affordable housing more of a reality in Edmonton?
So, some people think sometimes that providing affordable housing is a nice thing to do, right? But I believe that it is actually directly tied to our economic growth. We set a target of creating 2,500 affordable housing units, and we're on target to meeting that. We also set a target of 900 supportive housing units to help people who are struggling with houselessness. We haven't met that target yet, so we want to focus on that, meet that target, and set a new target over the next 4 years and 5 years to provide more affordable housing. Just imagine for a minute, a child or a family that doesn't have a decent, affordable, and adequate place to live. Do you think that child will succeed in school? Do you think that family coming to work will be able to give their 100% to their employer? They wouldn't be, because they would be worried about so many other things that are on their mind. I think that is why having all these social programs directly tied to economic growth, economic success of people. Okay? When people are able to give back, our economy grows, our businesses grows, right? And so we need to be more ambitious on affordable housing. We need to look for more partnerships with provincial government and federal government, because affordable housing is their responsibility. We need to do our part. We need to create the conditions, and we are creating those conditions. And affordable housing is not just about, there's different needs in affordable housing. Some people would need maybe a little bit break on their rent, right? Or some people would need deep subsidy because they're living in poverty. Some people would need housing plus support services in order to recover from the mental health challenges or addiction challenges. So I believe that it's absolutely critical for our economy to grow. Not
Now,
only construction jobs too.
Now, you're in a unique situation right now as well. You've been a former MP and minister, and now you're the mayor of one of Canada's largest cities. What do you take away as an insight for how the city can have a better conversation relationship with the federal government? Is there something that you have seen that we could be doing more of as a result of your occupying both those positions?
What I look for are alignments. Where are cities' goals and our community's goals aligned with other orders of government? We have a lot of alignments with provincial government, and we have a lot of alignments with federal government. On federal government, with a relationship with the federal government, we are aligned on climate change, for example. Federal government is very ambitious on being a net zero community by 2050, net zero country by 2050. As a matter of fact, 90% of the world's economy has committed to be net zero by 2050. And we have a lot to offer to actually help achieve that. So how do we look for that opportunity for economic growth, innovation, and help world be net zero, right? And that's one. I think we're also aligned on social investments. Federal government is very big on investing in ending chronic houselessness over the next 10 years. and we are committed on doing that too. So how we work with them on building more supportive, affordable housing. We also see a lot of alignment on, for example, development of hydrogen as a fuel to help meet reduce greenhouse gas emissions. I think there's another alignment. We'd also aligned on opening up opportunities in health innovation, for example, pharmaceutical innovation. And I think there's ways we can work with the federal government. And unfortunately, COVID has not given us the ability and opportunity to network and rekindle those relationships in a personal way, which I would like to do now that hopefully the COVID's behind us, that we can actually start seeing people in person and also rekindle those relationships with the provincial government as well.
Okay. Camille Baru has a question about.
Oh yeah, I was going to say, Kurian, building on that concept. Yeah, Camille was wondering about a provincial police force, and what are your thoughts about it?
Oh, I honestly, I haven't given much thought about provincial police force because that's kind of provincial matter. We have our own police force, and our police force may have some challenges, but overall, they're doing a pretty good job of keeping our communities safe. Yes, there are accountability issues that we need to tackle. There's also kind of figuring out, are we getting the value for money, and all those things we can figure out. But I think our police service and the people who work in the police service, frontline police officers, are doing a pretty good job of protecting our communities, and they're most capable, I would say, and able to do so. So I think we are fine without a provincial police force.
Yeah. Wayne Karpoff has a question about the unfolding crisis in refugees coming out of Eastern Europe right now. So Wayne, go ahead, please.
Yeah, so I mean, we all know what's going on in the news, and I have to say I'm pretty proud of the organizations that are stepping up to help across Edmonton, not just the Ukrainian crisis, but before that, the Afghan crisis, before that, the Syria crisis. My feeling, though, is it's very eclectic, and I'm wondering if there's a role the city should be playing in that space. I think Edmonton, as a city in Canada, is well suited to take a very lead role, simply because, and this may be just Edmonton bigotry, but I honestly think that of Edmonton cities, we are more embracing multiculturalism than most cities are through these crises. So I'm wondering if there's a role the city could provide more leadership and more coordination in our efforts to address those crises.
Oh, absolutely. Actually, as a matter of fact, I will be sending a letter to our Prime Minister saying that Edmonton is ready and willing to embrace and welcome Ukrainian refugees because of the occupation and an invasion of Ukraine by Russia, and that has creating a lot of people who are displacing a lot of people from their homes. So absolutely, I think we are very well positioned, and we actually need more people. We need more people to come live in our city. Our goal is to grow our population to 2 million people by 2064. Right? And majority of that growth is going to actually happen through immigration. So we can embrace people and help them integrate into our community. They become loyal. Like I deeply love Edmonton. You know why I deeply love Edmonton? Because Edmonton gave me the opportunities to be here, grow here, live, build my life here. Yeah. And I think, so we have social services available for refugees. You know, our housing is relatively affordable compared to other cities. So that's another advantage that we have to attract more people to live here. We have, you talked about multiculturalism, right? We have people here from every part of the world. And there are cultural organizations from every part of the world that can embrace. For example, when 100 Afghan refugees came about a few months ago, they were embraced by their own community, right? Yeah. I think those are the strengths that we have as a city that we need to leverage.
But I counted last night over 18 or 19 organizations within the city that are doing something, plus all the ones that are, more pan-Canadian. I'm wondering if there's a coordinating role that the city can be a little bit more proactive on things in the short term.
That's a good point. We can definitely check into that. We did provide a coordinating role when we welcomed Syrian refugees. We activated our emergency management system that brings all the different sectors together. And I think we can do the same with when we embrace Ukrainian refugees when they start arriving, to make sure that the integration is fully supported. Yeah.
Paul Bellows, please go ahead.
Hey, Karim. Hi, Mayor Sohi. I'm curious. I'd like to hear your thoughts. I know transit is important to you for many reasons, and it can be so, as we sort of think about newcomers coming to our city and students who are attending our higher ed institutions. And I employ lots of millennials, people who may be pre-car ownership or who may be earlier in their career. And transit's so important. We've had lots of stumbles, I know, over the years on transit here in Edmonton. But do you have a broader vision of like mobility in the city and how we can make this access to this city more equitable?
So we as a city set a target that we need to shift our mode of transportation to more sustainable modes. And our target is that I can't remember which year, but our target is that we should have 50% mode shift. 50% of Edmontonians should travel through public transit or cycling or walking, sustainable modes of transportation. But that will only happen if we make that convenient, right? Make it easy for people to use those. I'm starting to think differently about city services in a way that when people use city services, including public transit, they should actually enjoy it, right? They should find a delight in doing that, right? So you find delight when you walk into the river valley, right? You find delight when you walk into the library, right? Because they really make you feel welcome and enjoy yourself and grow yourself, right? We need to do the same thing in public transit, but unfortunately, we have a long way to go. We have safety issues in public transit. We have reliability issues in public transit yet, right? Sometimes people have to walk long distance to get access to public transit. It is not truly accessible for people with disabilities, seniors, particularly during wintertime when sidewalks are not cleared, right? How do you walk to a bus stop if your neighbor is not clearing their sidewalk properly, right? So I think our city is not clearing sidewalks properly. So I think we have a lot of work to do. So in order to really shift that mode, we really need to start thinking about all those barriers and removing all those barriers.
Rob Stoddard has a question about the life science industry.
First of all, Mayor Sohi, I want to thank you for dropping in on Tuesday to the beginning of our policy forum and just networking and talking to some of our people. And we'll be happy to have you back anytime.
I crashed your party. Without even knowing I was.
For an elected just to walk up with no entourage and talk to people, it really reflects and demonstrates your character and your approach. So I really appreciate that. So my question to you is, we're a provincial association for life sciences. We collaborate with Innovate Edmonton, Health Cities, and a number of regional organizations. But because we live, work, and play in the region, I wanted to ask you, what do you see from the life sciences and biotech sectors as far as the role they play in the region's economic recovery and long-term growth?
Yeah, I think there's another untold kind of part of Edmonton, which is our strength in healthcare, right? What I would like to see, and we talked about this during the campaign as well, we need to provide kind of long-term vision for innovation in our city, right? And then properly fund that long-term innovation. Yes, we provide funding to Innovate Edmonton. We provide them sustainable operational funding. But should we not be looking at the successes of other cities, how they have supported innovation? So one thing that one idea I want to explore is the creation of Edmonton Innovation Fund, right? there is a long-term commitment on the part of the city, that then innovators and people who are in that field can determine what the best use of those resources are going to be. Right? So I think that is where I would like to go. We are starting having initial conversations around that and leveraging that city commitment with support from Prairie Scan or Invest Alberta or through other provincial federal programs. So definitely would love to learn more about the potential. One thing that I've been trying to figure out, like, there are global crises out there, right? Climate change is one of them. Food security is another one. Healthcare is another one. We went through a global pandemic, right? But we fought it, right? So I think what we need to do, what can we do, where our strengths are as a community to help solve those global crises, right? And I think that's where we need to do the more work on, just figuring out our strength and then supporting and enhancing and accelerating those strengths.
Gord Wusick, you have a question about the federal energy minister. Be polite.
So, yeah, I'm just wondering, we have a federal minister, Gibault, who's got a very strong stand with oil and gas and nuclear. And there's a surge for the need of our energy product around the world. And we have an energy minister who's thinking of closing down fossil fuels and not even looking at nuclear. Given your background in with the party that's currently in power, do you have any opportunity to let him know what our needs here in Alberta are and why oil, gas, and nuclear and things like this need to be promoted aggressively, at least for the next 30 to 50 years?
Yeah. So when I was Natural Resources Minister, we actually launched the SMR testing, the small modular nuclear technology testing, working with the industry. So I think that work is continuing. So I don't know where the shift is happening on nuclear energy, right? But I had a chance to talk to minister when he was appointed, right after he was appointed, in relations to hydrogen, because I was worried that we are well positioned to tap into hydrogen as a source of energy and fuel. And I was worried that what will happen if federal government changes their position. I was assured that what I was assured, and I hope that is the case, and I have no reason not to believe that, is that government wants to focus on reducing emissions, right? And be agnostic about the source of what kind of energy in relation to hydrogen, whether it's blue hydrogen or clean hydrogen, it doesn't matter, right? And same on the oil and gas. What I'm hearing from the federal government is that they want to reduce emissions intensity of the oil and gas, right? If we can help as a region to reduce that emissions intensity by investing in new technologies, by having carbon capture, storage, utilization technologies properly supported by the province and the federal government, having hydrogen properly supported by province and the federal government, we can help them reduce emissions and then shift the conversation around the oil and gas to actually reducing emissions in that sector.
Okay, well, I appreciate that.
Sorry, go ahead.
And appreciate your answer, and I hope that you can continue to put that story in front of him on a regular basis.
Yeah, I have and continue to do so. Yeah.
Rajesh Jaiswal from NABI.
Thank you, Kurian, and thank you, Mayor Sohi. This is very interesting presentation. And I just would like to share that in our ecosystem, I've been working in this ecosystem for more than 12 years. So we have a lot of support, a lot of services for innovation, for tech companies, and for all those kind of companies. But on the other side, we have a lot of non-tech companies, and they are doing great, and they have a huge impact on the economy. And I don't have the data, but I think they may have a huge impact. So I'm wondering, how can we support such non-tech companies. And the examples I would give, for example, in Canada, the Lululemon started in Canada. IMAX theaters started in Canada. David Stee, they are non-tech companies, right? And still they have such a big economic impact. Why not we can create another Walmart superstore, So just I would like to know your thoughts, how or what you can do, or how can we support such companies?
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think one thing that and I'm trying to figure this out as well, because I've been only here for 5 months, is I think what we hear from some of the big businesses and developers is that when they want to set up a shop in Edmonton, is Edmonton actually ready in the form of having industrial land available for them, right? I think that's one thing that we need to figure out. Another one is just making them feel welcome, right? If somebody's coming to invest in Edmonton, they should be able to go to one place and get all the support they need, right? And help ease their kind of introduction to the city, and then ease their way of doing how they want to do business, right? So permitting, inspections, business licenses, reducing some of the unnecessary regulations, which we are already doing. I think that's one thing we can do. But I also believe that Edmonton's success is actually tied to our region's success. We need to think as a region, right? We cannot compete against each other because our economy is so integrated. Like what happens in Strathcona County, people don't make any distinction what happens in Edmonton or in Beaumont or in Fort Saskatchewan, because people see from outside, they see us one big community, right? So I think, how do we actually align all of 13 municipalities work together to hunt as a pack, right? And then share the benefits of that with each other, right? I think we can do a lot in that. And this is something that I'm really becoming more and more aware and passionate about.
Okay, so here we go. Mayor Sohi, you've been in office now for 5 months. Okay, and during those 5 months, has anything surprised you about the office and what you remember of it when you left the first time?
One challenge that I have faced, and it's no different than you have faced, is that the kind of work that we do requires a lot of in-person interactions, a relationship building with council members, with each other, with city administration, with the community. We have not been able to do that over the last 5 months, right? Because of COVID, right? So it feels like that once COVID is over, we are starting all over, right? Because I haven't seen my colleagues in person, some of them, for a while, right? And governance is all about relationship, right? It's all about getting to know each other, trying to understand each other's realities, and trying to make decisions that are collectively beneficial to the city. I think that has been the biggest challenge over the last 5 months. Now things are opening up. Hopefully we'll be able to see each other more often.
Paul Bellows has a question about the arts and culture sector.
Yeah, during the pandemic, this sector's been uniquely hit in that they sort of thrive on people getting together, as you were just talking about. And so most of these organizations have just been in a standstill with no ability to generate revenue. Do you think that there's a role the city could play in helping that vital part of our community, to one of the folks who make life really worth living here, to help them recover and thrive again?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I don't know if you heard about the study done by Canada West Foundation. I think it was released last week. They noticed that young people are leaving Alberta, right? One of the reasons they identified is that young people are looking for experience, right? Not only they want a well-paying middle-class job, right? But they also want to live in a thriving, vibrant, exciting places. And arts and culture will do that. It does it, right? And so it is integral. Again, going back to economic growth, you want to retain those young people in your city, you have to have vibrant theater scene, right? You need to have vibrant festivals, right? You need to have, more celebration of your multiculturalism, your indigenous history, that people will feel part of the community and they really will feel enjoying going downtown and going to restaurants and bars and pubs, right? So arts and culture absolutely play a critical role for vibrancy and economic growth. So what we did in the last budget, we actually created a fund where we are providing direct support to artists in 2022 because they have been hurt the most during pandemic. And we also created the recovery fund that organizations can apply to. We will monitor the success of that fund, and if necessary, we will extend that into 2023. Another part of that vibrancy is nightlife economy, right? I don't think we are doing enough to support nightlife vibrancy, right? And we are actually looking at creating a dedicated position that will support business districts to bring more people, into business districts during evenings, late nights, and really tap into that economic growth. But arts and culture, I think I'm sitting here downtown in my city hall. Out the window, I see Windspear, I see Citadel, right, and I see vibrant art district. But unfortunately, there are no people here, right, because of COVID, right? And I hope once we are out of this, more people will come downtown and start enjoying themselves and enjoy that. And we bring some festivals back. Can you imagine Edmonton without Heritage Festival? Right? Can you imagine Edmonton without Folk Festival, without Fringe Festival, right? All those things are critical in my mind.
Javier Salazar has a follow-on question to Paul's.
Thanks, Korean Mayor Sohi. I love what you're saying. I love hearing that part. And we partner with institutions like the Windspear and the Citadel on trying to provide access for kids and families to the arts, the culture, entertainment, and everything. When you're talking in general about all this, there's still the barrier of the people some people not being able to afford that entertainment. Are there any considerations in that term? Even going all the way to developing sustainable, affordable housing and building a basketball court with it. Is that part of the plans? What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think we have a lot of potential to make overall living affordable in our city. We have advantage in housing, but just imagine for a minute if you can build a transportation network that is integrated with housing and land use planning and choices. Like if I can bike to work, if I have a very, safe, dedicated path, bikeway, that reduces my overall cost of living. Because if I as a two-car family can go to one-car family, that's close to $10,000 in savings on an annual basis for that family, right? I think that opens up opportunity for me to get to festivals where I have more disposable income now, right? I think we need to kind of have a holistic approach to affordability. We're looking at targeted approach support as well. For example, our recreation centers are free for low-income people, right? They're free for seniors. Our transit system is further discounted based on people's ability to pay, right? We have a great program called UPass that allows post-secondary institutions to opt into affordable bus pass for students that is tied into the fees they pay. So there's different ways we can make living more affordable for people.
Okay, we've only got a few minutes left, and so I'm going to wind it up with one question. We've got to start a little late, but the mayor's got a busy schedule. I'll give you one final question, Mayor Sohi. In a year's time, what would you hope to have accomplished that would state that last year and 5 months perhaps, right, has been worthwhile, that you've actually made progress on something? If you could name one or two things, what would that be?
You know, one thing that having more people come out of their homes and to the community, into our business districts, into downtown, and start enjoying themselves, start mingling with people, and start supporting local businesses. I think I would love to see that happen now that we're coming out of COVID. Another thing is that, we have been through very doom and gloom over the last 2 years. We need some energy. We need some optimism. And I want to provide that optimism, some more excitement about our city, the potential about our community, attract more festivals downtown for people to come and enjoy, and support our struggling businesses. From a year from now, if I'm seeing more enthusiasm in our community about our potential, and shake off this pessimism, right, and look forward to the future, I think that will be a great success.
Mayor Sohi, thank you on behalf of YEGBiz for attending our session today. It was lively. It was well spoken on your questions. I'm sorry, your answers to the questions, and we thank you for being with us today.
No, thank you so much for having me. I really love it. I really enjoy these conversations.